I know this looks like a cigar box, but this actually contains something that's really unique and quite exciting. You open it up and it's a little phonograph. And this actually, gramophone really. And this dates back all the way to 1897. So this is really early. This was the same year that the Berliner Gramophone, the improved gramophone of 1897, the trademark came out. So this goes back before there were other things called gramophones around. And unfortunately, the company that built this didn't get permission to use the technology, and so they were sued and put out of business rather quickly. So there are not very many of them of this very early machine. The company's name is the United States Talking Machine Company, and I've seen a few of these, but I've never seen one like this. This one's particularly interesting because it's Viral and Johnson, dealers in manufacturers specialties, King Street, West, Toronto, Ontario. This is the Canadian version, and I've never quite seen another one that's Canadian, so this is really unusual. These machines were sold for $3, and they did contain a list of records you could purchase, and they were all Berliner records because those are the only records being manufactured at that time. So it's a really unique piece in that it's so rare. Now the way it works is there's a needle here. I just got to put this on here. The needle, there's no reproducer on this thing. It's literally a piece of wood with a needle stuck through it, and you don't change the needles. And to drive the gramophone, you put this crank on it, and you drive it by hand, okay? And the sound travels through this wood post. There's a weight here, which you can move to adjust the amount of pressure on the needle, like as if it makes any difference. It's crazy. And then the sound goes from here to this kind of spring, which is attached to this tube, which splits off into listening tubes. When I saw it, I thought this can't possibly work, but surprisingly, it actually sounds pretty decent for that era and this low technology. So these are quite hard to find, and especially hard to find in a Canadian version. So I'm gonna bring the camera in, we'll take a closer look at it, and I'm gonna see if I can try and play it, okay? Okay, we opened the lid. It was stuck open a little bit because of the handle used to drive it. Here's a good look at the piece of paper with all the information on it. And you can see what's interesting is there's a picture of the machine on the label with a picture of the machine on the label with a picture of the machine on the label. Pretty interesting. Now you can see the drive wheel. There's something in here. Don't know what we've got left in here. Some parts. So there it is. Now the difference between this and the American one I've seen, the one made in the USA, is that it has this board here. The American one I've seen doesn't have this board. So this is just a slight departure in design. There is some information about how to use the machine over here. As I said, this is just literally a piece of wood with a needle stuck in it. And there's a weight that can be moved back and forth. And then you can see this spring. The sound is supposed to travel through that spring, and it's literally, this is just stuck in there. And the sound goes through these listening tubes over here. So this is pretty much the cheapest thing you could possibly make that you could call a gramophone. So let's take a minute and try and hear what it sounds like. Okay, I'm gonna hold up one of the listening tubes to the microphone here, and I'm gonna spin it, but you'll mostly be hearing the sound coming off the record itself. Now this is an American Berliner record, so it would have been the style that would have been intended to be played on this. I don't know what you think of that, but yeah, well, just for fun, we'll try an Emerson record, which should be a little bit better. So marginally better.